Totally. All right. Hi. So Sarah and I were doing some ledger stuff, some business numbery jargon, and we got into this heavy discussion about, well, we were talking because Sarah was saying that she's not into numbers, and I'm really into numbers, and we found this great balance, and we were giggly about it because we're just content. But anyways, that brought us to a discussion about laziness. So we want to talk about that, and we want to talk about it on a platform because why not? We want to know what your definition of lazy is. What is lazy to you? So Sarah, what does lazy mean to you?
Oh, okay. So this whole conversation got brought about because we were talking about how I get nervous around numbers. I'm super scared of them, and we started talking.
Seven.
They're scary. Yeah. So I was saying that when I was in school, when I was growing up, numbers, if it had been taught to me in a different way, I probably would feel differently about them because I don't really understand the logic of numbers and all of that.
Why is 2 plus 2 4?
Yeah, if you just tell me it just is, I'm gonna steer away from that with all of my being. So
you need a why.
I need a why. Yeah, I need a why. So that roundaboutly brought us to this conversation about not doing your homework in school. I was always told that makes me lazy.
So you had this fear of numbers, not you weren't spooked when you saw the number 7, but you
a little.
It's very scary. It's got a lot of sharp edges.
Very sharp, yeah.
So basically you weren't understanding math, and so you weren't doing your homework. So your father, instead of approaching the situation hey, why aren't you doing your homework, he would just say you're lazy. He wouldn't pay attention to what you were actually doing instead of your homework. He just said you're not doing your homework, so you're lazy. So that's how it came about, right?
Yeah. And we were so I was talking with my brother one day about this, and he's like, well, lazy, that doesn't mean you were lazy because you were doing something else instead. So does lazy mean that you're not doing your work? Well, what work? Because you were doing work, you just weren't doing the work that someone else wanted you to do. So that doesn't mean that you're lazy. So, okay.
So what were
we
you
got
doing?
there. Drawing or whatever. I was drawing or doodling or tinkering with stuff.
Doing something creative.
How
would that ever benefit you?
Right, which is now what I do for a living. So I wasn't lazy. So this got us to talking about what lazy means. Christy started saying, well, okay, lazy doesn't necessarily mean you're not doing your homework or that you're not doing something beneficial.
Yeah.
It means that you give the word meaning, which is what we're all about here. You give it meaning. So yeah.
Careful, she's gonna go on a crystal
I will. It's coming. Yeah. So what were you saying about what you think lazy means?
So what I was saying at first, before I knew it was your father that was calling you lazy, I was saying that you got to take things almost at face value. If someone's saying that you're doing something that's lazy, okay, that person thinks I'm doing something that's lazy. I don't think that I'm lazy, so whatever, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and you can think whatever you want. But then it made sense when you're talking about oh, it's my dad that's saying that, and it was when I was a young child. You don't really have much say. You can't be well, whatever, Dad, your words mean nothing to me, because it doesn't really work like that.
Right.
And for me, laziness it's totally up to you. So if you have a goal, you have a dream, you have something that you want or need, whether it's something that you want that's a little more outlandish, something that's a little bit more novel, or something that you need, you're hungry and you need to go grocery shopping to feed yourself because you need nourishment. If you are not actively making moves towards that goal, that want or need, then you're lazy. If you're doing something, it could be something small. I'm not saying if you're not achieving all of your goals, you're lazy, because that is not true. What I'm saying is if you're not actively doing something really, really small, if you can't make it to the grocery store right now, but you're writing a haphazard list, you could be writing it with your left hand while you're doing something else, it doesn't matter how you're doing it, but you're still taking that step, I wouldn't consider that lazy.
So then I was asking why are you not doing that thing? Maybe you are struggling with something else.
Yeah, you brought up depression. Mm-hmm. So if you are you have hopes and dreams and goals, but you're depressed, so you can't act towards them. And I wasn't saying that laziness means, you know, you're physically, like you're like a fat lump just doing nothing. That doesn't necessarily fit the description of a lazy person. You can be lazy in your own mind, you know, so if there is something that you really truly want or need, and you know what those things are, and you're being vocal about them, or you're just like, you know, you have it in your head and it's just going and going, you're not doing anything about it, then you're lazy. And that could be a mental thing as well. So if you're depressed and you're saying, oh, I want this and I need this and I need that, and you're not doing anything to work towards it, then your brain is lazy. You're clearly lying to yourself. You don't actually want or need those things because you're not acting towards it. You could be doing any little tiny thing. If you want to own a castle, if you want a damn tower, and you want to own a plethora of freaking tulips, like, that's cool. And if you can't act on that right now, that's all right. But you're sitting there and you're drawing little doodles, you're depressed as hell because you don't have this tower, you don't have these tulips, and you're mad at yourself, you're upset about your parents, you're upset about yourself, you're upset about everything. But if you're sitting there and you're doodling, you have a goddamn Crayola marker, and you're just drawing those towers and those tulips, that's not lazy, because you're working towards something.
So this is where it gets interesting, because I think that you're right. And I think that, so the meaning that I'm going to give to lazy now is that you are scared or hiding from something. So that's what lazy means. So like you're saying, if you are doodling on a piece of paper about a castle because you really want a castle, that's not being lazy. But if you are like, I want a castle, and you're not even doodling, that's a sign that you are scared or you're hiding from whatever actions you need to take. Whether that be because of some sort of, you know, I tread lightly because of like mental illness, you know, there could be a reason why you can't even doodle about a castle. So well, like, is that lazy?
Yeah.
You know?
And you know, going back to what I was saying before, it's just a word. We're saying that laziness is a bad thing because that's what society tells us to think, and that's what we're telling ourselves. Being lazy doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, and you can have a mental illness and still be lazy. Just because someone's depressed or they have something that's not quite right doesn't mean you can't call them lazy. There's still people, they can be lazy. And I'm not saying that if you doodle a castle, you're gonna get a castle. We got a little too deep into that. That was just a random thing that popped in my head. That is not how this works. You cannot doodle a castle.
No, we didn't say that.
And get a castle.
We just said you're not being lazy.
You're not being lazy.
Like, doodling is not lazy. That's the thing. Drawing's not lazy. Doodling's not lazy. Laying in the grass looking at the clouds, that's not lazy.
Well, it's all perception. That's all I'm trying to showcase here. That's all perception. If someone calls you lazy and you don't think you're being lazy, then you're probably not being lazy.
Yeah,
but if someone, well, not necessarily, because if someone calls you lazy and you are hurt by it, you're upset by it, then you're lazy, and you know you're being lazy.
That could be.
Because somebody could call, like, someone could walk in right now and be like, "Girls, you're supposed to be working. You're being lazy as hell. You're just staring at this phone and just talking nonsense." And I'd be like, "Yeah, okay, whatever. Have a nice day. Like, can I interest you in some tea?" I don't care, because I don't personally feel like I am being lazy right now. But if someone walked in and they're like, "Hey, you're being really lazy," and I felt like that feeling, you know, that feeling you get where your chest pounds a little bit and you get that hot blood. I'm a little Italian, so I'm pretty Italian, so I get this, what I call the Italian hot blood. My blood gets really hot, and I get really, like, irritated, and sometimes my face gets red, and I get really just anxious. If I got that feeling, then I'd be like, "Oh shit, you know what?
There's something here.
I think I am being lazy."
Yeah, there's something to it.
And that's on me. That's not on the person who called me lazy. That's on me, and that's up to me to decide what my definition of lazy is, and if I'm okay with it. Because honestly, who cares?
Who cares? Well, except for you.
That's what
I think that's our point.
I didn't mean it to be like super nihilistic.
No,
I meant to be like, who, like,
you're the only
other
one that
people's
cares.
definition of lazy shouldn't affect you. And if it's affecting you, then you are lazy. And if you are truly lazy and you feel lazy and you're not okay with it, then fix it. And just do something to make yourself feel better about your current situation. And if that means doodling, that's doodling. If that means getting up and doing like 500 jumping jacks, cool, like, go for it. Anyway, it's Saturday morning, getting very rambly. Sarah and I are about to go do some serious work, and by that I mean lay on the floor and do yoga until someone wants to come in and buy some crystals from us, and then someone's going to ask what the crystals mean and how it's going to make their life better, and Sarah's going to go on a whole tangent, and I'm going to really enjoy it. So we have a lot to get to today, as you can see. So please, just in the comments below, I don't know what platform I'm putting this on, but whatever platform it is, just let us know what lazy means to you. I want to know everything because I'm just real nosy. I want to know what laziness means to you. I want to know if you think you're lazy. I want to know who's called you lazy, why, if you're upset by it. Just tell me everything.
Yeah.
I want to know what you had for breakfast.
Yeah.
Honestly.
We had oatmeal.
We did.
And
Sarah
bananas.
didn't want any oatmeal, but I kind of forced it upon her because that's what I do. That's what I do with snacks.
But I appreciate it because my cholesterol will be lower.
Gotta lower those LDLs, you know what I mean?
Saturday morning.
Getting old. Anyways, comment below. What is lazy? What's it mean to you? Are you lazy?